I was hit with this extremely significant and very powerful insight that literally reverberated through my body, that I was going about it all wrong. It's like, Amy, you're going about this all wrong. And the insight that hit me, that changed me in a moment, was it's not about figuring it out. It's about feeling it out. And the wisdom of that just completely changed all aspects of my being and the way in which I perceive, the way in which I navigate. And from that moment forward, everything changed.
Hey guys, welcome to episode number 178 of the Game On Girlfriend podcast. I'm super excited about today's episode. I know I say that a lot, but you guys, today you get to meet Amy Wong, and I'm so excited. Right at the beginning of today's episode, we talk about a huge surprise and gift and glorious excitement for her that's happened around her book. So you got to tune in and listen to that. So happy for her. But Amy Wong is the founder of the business Always On Purpose. And the name kind of tells you everything you need to know, right? If you've been following me for a while, you are going to love this conversation. It's like two girlfriends picked up the phone and started talking about how to cause magic in life, how to get unstuck, why women find themselves in closets and or laundry rooms, just crying, going, what has happened to my life? If you've ever found yourself in that moment, if you've ever been wondering how you ended up where you ended up, or why a job that used to make your socks roll up and down makes you want to like crawl into bed and not come out now. What is going on there? How does that happen? Why does that happen? And what do you do about it? If you've ever found yourself in a situation like that where you don't know what to do next and everything's starting to feel like it's unraveling, chances are you're on the precipice of something very cool. And Amy walks us through in this episode exactly what happened to her and exactly what you can do to start to lift yourself up out of that moment and make your life amazing. So Amy is one of those incredible women who's wicked smart, right? Oh my gosh, I just sounded like I was from Boston. She's wicked smart, right? She is highly involved in mathematics. She loves physics and she loves psychology. Such a cool combination. And you're going to listen to the way that she's brought that together for herself and how she uses that to serve her corporate clients as she deals with executive leadership and taking things to the next level. She's an incredible human. You're going to love listening to her. And some of the things I hope you listen for today are inspired moments. Please perk up your ears for that. And stop figuring things out and start feeling things out. Those are the things I really hope you listen to today. This is going to be one of those episodes you probably come back to a couple times. So the next time you're feeling off, you're going to remember this episode. You're going to want to come back and listen in. So pop in those earphones and let's get to it. Welcome to the Game On Girlfriend podcast. I have a feeling we're about to make a whole lot of people smile today.
Oh, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it, Sarah. Let's do it.
Well, let's start by you have a huge win I think everybody should know about, and that is your book. Can you tell us what has just happened with your book?
Oh, thank you. Well, my book, Living on Purpose, subtitle, 5 Deliberate Choices to Realize Fulfillment and Joy. Just won Book of the Year in 2022.
Guys, she just won Book of the Year. Are you freaking kidding me? Like, I was had like a party hat. Like, that's amazing. Congratulations. That is so, so cool. I'm so happy about that. You guys will have a link to that under the video you're watching or in the show notes if you're listening. Really happy for you, Amy. And isn't it so great? Such a commitment, such like
oh my gosh,
a journey of love, right? Like, how awesome is it that at the end of that journey, Book of the Year?
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Yes, it is a full-on spiritual practice to go through this process, to translate, wisdom that you got in your head that comes out in conversation. So to be able to translate what's super transformative that's done in session or in workshops, to translate that as a dynamic conversation that can adapt according to what you hear and what you're getting from the other person, to translate that into written word for most audiences for all time.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like a whole, man, talk about eating your own dog food. I mean, I went through so many phases of doubt and self-doubt and like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Oh my gosh, this is crap. Oh my gosh, I'm doing it. Oh my gosh, why am I doing it? Who do I think I am? It was
that one's mean. I hate that one. Yeah.
Oh, I know.
So good. So, I mean, that was a lot for you to fight through, and look at that, what happens on the other side.
Yeah.
So
totally.
Powerful.
It's so worth it. I had to persist, and I have 2 amazing kids. And it's so funny because when I committed to writing this book, I told the kids, I was like, hey, kiddos, I'm going to be super boring for a little while. My weekends, I'm just going to be writing. And then they were both like, that's cool. Just like make bestseller, make lots of money, and then spend it on us. I was like, okay,
we're going on vacation, Mom. Yeah. That's
like,
so great.
do you
Amy,
think,
how old
Mom,
are your
just make
kids?
money and like spend it on us. And I was like, okay. So I'm like, can't let you down, kiddos.
I love it. I love it. They're like, Ma, dollars.
That's right.
So how old are the kids?
14. My son is 14 and my daughter is 10.
Oh, yeah. So they know. They're
Yeah.
old enough to know that when mom's working, there's usually an upside to that on the other side.
That is right. That is right. That is right.
So good.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit, just in case people don't know who you are, they haven't heard of you yet. Like, tell us a little bit about your company and why this is what you do.
I've been coaching since 2011 now, so over a decade. The bigger story is I've been a coach for a lot longer than this traditional title that I have had. When I started Always on Purpose, when I founded my company, I studied mathematics at UC Berkeley. So I was a mathematician first part of my life.
Wow.
Very much into music. At the same time, ever since I was really young, really, really fascinated with all the big conversations are like, who are we? Why are we here? What does it mean to be alive? What does it mean to thrive? Fascinated by consciousness studies. I had found mindfulness and meditation at age 12. So really I'm really enamored with all things consciousness, and I loved math. I would always end up in these teaching and facilitating roles. I just love to teach math. I love to teach piano. And I recognized that, yes, it was the topic at hand that I was passionate about, but what really lit me up, I noticed this in high school because I started a tutoring business. I mean, yes, I loved it when they got it. What was so enthralling to me was to be able to listen for what it was they didn't know that they didn't know. Because it wasn't a matter of not knowing the thing. It was really a matter of not knowing what they didn't know that kept them from asking the right question. And I so understood that. And so then I got really good listening for that, just by understanding their logic or listening to their argument, even in their body language. And so that really stayed with me. And that thread played itself out. And so when I graduated, I ended up in tech. So I worked at Sun Microsystems for 10 years.
Wow.
And technical jobs and many other different kinds of jobs. But I'd always end up in these roles where I was kind of facilitating in the go-between and translating between development and end user. But after Aiden was born, who's 14, that's when I had my massive breakthrough. I'm not at all attending to all parts of me. And I had this, the only thing I can describe is sort of a divine download. I mean, it was so significant what happened to me. It happened in my closet of all places. And I was hit with this extremely significant and very powerful insight that literally reverberated through my body, that I was going about it all wrong. It's like, Amy, you're going about this all wrong. And the insight that hit me, that changed me in a moment, was it's not about figuring it out. It's about feeling it out. And the wisdom of that just completely changed all aspects of my being and the way in which I perceive, the way in which I navigate. And from that moment forward, everything changed. And with that insight came, okay, it's not that your life is wrong or bad. It's lovely. It's perfect on paper, but you're not fulfilled. And the only reason is because you've been chasing a strategy that has kind of been laid out for you that nobody questions.
Yes.
But you haven't been feeling into what feels right. And so if you change on a dime here and only follow your inspiration, where would that lead you? So very quickly, off to the races I went. And transpersonal psychology found me. I got my master's in it.
Wow.
Enthralled by it. It's so funny because people are like, how do you go from pure mathematics to transpersonal psychology?
It's not as far as a jump as people think, is it?
I know.
I mean, really, because it's like the mysteries of the universe in two different.
That's exactly it.
Yes.
Oh, girlfriend, you got it right. Like
yes.
The way I see it, it's like a search for truth.
Yes.
And on the one hand, in math, it's very objective, right? Where we take bunch of like all this data and we're trying to find patterns and meaning to make sense of it all. Very objective, black and white. But then transpersonal psychology, again, search for truth. But this is nonlinear, subjective, sometimes illogical. And so having done both, what was interesting is coaching found me. So boom, feels like I live a miracle every single day. I am so blessed, Sarah. I am so blessed getting to do this work. So here I am. I mean, I've been doing it now for, 12 years now, but over the thousands of conversations I've had, it was becoming really clear that there are some fundamental themes that are universal in the ways that we hold ourselves back, really go beyond our habits of action right? So yeah, we can hold ourselves back because I said I was going to work out this morning and I didn't.
Right.
Or I hold myself back because I told myself I was going to really try for that thing and I didn't. All right. It's beyond the habits of action, but it's really at the level of perception. And so in the process of coaching all of these people and following my inspiration and getting certified in conversational intelligence and all things communication and more things here and more things there, things started to crystallize. And so it was that love of understanding what it is that people don't know that they don't know that's getting in their way, plus all the research, all the conversations. That's really what led to the birth of Living on Purpose. And so Living on Purpose is my book. It's those, I call it 5 deliberate choices to realize fulfillment and joy. But it's really, what are those 5 fundamental perceptual shifts we need to make to unlock ourselves into true thriving, to true joy, true fulfillment that goes beyond moving the pieces of our life around.
And I think what I love about you talking about these 5, the way that you talk about perception is so cool, Amy, because isn't that what we don't know? We don't know. I mean, isn't that the heart of it? Like the world is just this way because that's how I perceive it. And it's like, we don't even know that that's just one way to perceive it. Like that whole world, I've always loved that. So there's like the world you know, the world you don't know, but you know that you don't know it. Like I'm probably not going to learn how to speak Mandarin Chinese in this lifetime. Maybe I will. I don't know, but I know I don't know how to speak Mandarin Chinese, right? And then there is the whole realm of things that we don't know that we don't know. And I love that that's where you play. That must be so fun to watch people move through that and really have those, like, I call them baseball bat on the back of the head. Not nice, but it's that can be that feeling where like, wow, what just happened? Do you just love exploring that part with your clients? Is that so much fun for you?
I love that you asked this question. Nobody asks it that in this way that you've asked, and you nailed it. I mean, this is what I live for, because to me, I mean, this is going to sound super woo, but to me, this is what it means to raise the vibration of consciousness on the planet.
Yes.
And conversation by conversation, or whether it's group of people or workshop or keynote, it's the opportunity to awaken to a new level of consciousness that truly does raise the vibration towards more love, towards more awakening, towards more possibility, more connection, more compassion, because that's what's going to heal the world. And so, yes, like that. I mean, and I get to do that all day, every day. I am enthralled. Like to wake up every day, it's like, ooh, what magic is going to happen today?
Isn't it true?
It's just magic.
Oh, yeah. It's the best. I actually just had one of my participants in the Abundance Academy. I just got a Voxer from her. She's like, it was like one of those funny memes, you know, doing the happy dance. She's like, I can't believe this is my job. I was like, isn't that like the best feeling in the world? And I think I'm thinking of you in your closet, getting your divine download. And I was just like, like we do. Like, it's like when you grow a person, I say that to every woman who's pregnant. I'm like, when you grow a person, you just get clobbered with reality. I think in a way, this is where almost every woman I interview, almost a lot, like 90%, it is, well, and then I had my kids. Yeah. And it's like, this life does not work for me. And I was told it's supposed to, and I played by the rules. And these are things I never questioned. I love the way that you describe that, because I don't know how many they're either all of us are either in our closets, or the laundry room seems to be a good place to hide too, where we have these moments of like, whose life is this? How, you know, those moments. And I think it's so powerful, Amy, that you took your moment and immediately ran with it. I mean, after getting that divine download that you so eloquently called it, how long did it take you to actually like move from that into action where you were coaching?
And this is going to sound magical, but I don't think this is magical, because this is the power of listening, feeling, and inspiration, because our soul knows what we're meant to do. The thing that gets in the way is our head. And what I essentially committed to was following the path of inspiration, which was the language of my soul, which is the heartbeat of my purpose. And I was in touch enough to know what felt enthralling and energizing and alive. And so what happened was, the moment I got that insight, I committed. It was a hardcore dedication and commitment to a new way of navigating. I was very clear about that. And I thought, okay, if I'm going about this wrong, and it's not about figuring it out, because here was the big insight. Okay, hold on. Everything we want, everything we think we want, all the goals that we set, all the aspirations that we have, whether it's more money, bigger job, bigger house, whatever, It's not for the thing, but everybody thinks it's for the thing. What we want is the feeling we think we would have as a result of the thing. So what we don't want is the thing. We want the feeling, but we never think about it that way.
Right.
And we just blindly put all of our faith in the thing that we don't really fully check out to see if the map works. And so then we go chase the thing. And then we oftentimes forsake the feeling because we didn't pull that into awareness. And so it's like, wait, yeah, I want that promotion. I want that bigger title. I want senior VP. Oh my gosh, I so want senior VP because I want more money. But what you really want is you want spaciousness and the ability to be present with your family. You want a sense of freedom. You want a sense of presence. So you take this job, but if you haven't really focused on what you want to feel, it completely conflicts with what you want to feel. So now your life looks great on paper, but now you're miserable. Now you're really confused and really disheartened because you thought, shoot, I did what I just said I was going to do and I made it happen. But now I'm even more lost. But nobody teaches us how to navigate via feeling. And so figuring it out is chasing the thing. Blindly chasing the thing with that blind assumption that it's going to get us to the promised land. But feeling it out asks the most fundamental question is, what do I want to feel? What do I want to feel? And so the moment we can bring that into awareness and get really clear, oh, I want to feel energized. I want to feel impactful. I want to feel peaceful. I don't know, you decide. But then the work is, okay, so now my work is moment by moment. I am going to choose the thing that is resonant with that, but more importantly, that makes me feel alive. And so it's that difference between going, this is a good idea versus, this feels incredible. That sounds right. It's funny. You can hear in the way you talk to yourself. It's like, oh, this sounds reasonable. Oh, this sounds right. Oh, this sounds like a good idea. Yep. This is logical. Sure. This makes sense. So notice that all that languaging, if you were to really drop into your body and assess where's the locus of energy happening when you say that, it's all in your head. That's right. That seems right. That seems logical. Yep. That's a good idea. Because what we're doing is we're calculating and we're strategizing our way to a thing that we think is going to get us to a feeling. And so 100% figuring it out is the long path to a decent life. And it's okay, but it's not on purpose. That's for sure. In order to really live into an on-purpose life, you have to say, okay, cool, got that. I want to be in my purpose. So I'm going to feel it out. And so what that means then is to feel for the thing that feels like the energy's in your body, it's in your chest, and it feels expansive, and it almost likes you go, or your eyes kind of get big and your chest gets big and you're like, and you feel like the life got knocked into you when you consider it.
Knocked out of you. What a
verse exactly. Yes, it's like,
yes.
Yeah. And so for me, what happened was the moment I committed to do that, I'm definitely not going back to work.
Right.
And that was really that's what precipitated the divine download, because to not go back to this job that I had been at for 10 years that I was doing well, if I'm not that, who am I? So that was a clear decision. No, I'm not doing that. So now what? So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to follow my inspiration. What feels super energizing? And you know what it was? Like, you know what? I'm going to pick up my physics books. I really miss physics. And so I love, because again, I'm so enamored with consciousness and all things consciousness studies. I started picking up, all my quantum mechanics books and following the authors, the physicists I really like. And I'm diving into the books and the textbooks, and I'm reading when Aiden's napping, and I'm so enthralled and I'm loving it. And then it hit me. Wait, the idea. Wow, wait a minute, Amy, you now get why you studied math. So you could get your PhD in quantum mechanics. This is your realm. I got super excited because guess what? This was an idea that made sense and it was exciting. And so I started to go down that path. And because I was so committed to feeling it out, I was really clear about what was going on. And boy, oh boy, did my head want to convince me I was feeling this one out. But there was a part of me that was like, no, I think I'm figuring this one out. Aiden was in my arms. He had just finished breastfeeding. And I got on the phone with the physics department at UC Berkeley, where I went to school. And I was talking to them about, okay, so I want to get my PhD. What's the path? I actively felt my energy just drain.
Oh, and so just taking the action on that idea, it was like, nope.
Yep. My body started feeling, I noticed the energy in my body was draining and all the energy was in my head. And that my head was saying, this is exciting. This is exciting. This is exciting. This is exciting. Oh my gosh, a feather in your cap. This is going to be really cool. This is going to be really cool. But I noticed that there was no presence and energized. There was
Mm-hmm.
nothing in my body. And I thought, oh, Amy, you'd be doing it again. If you
Wow.
did this, you're going to end up in the same boat. So it was really hard. But in a moment, I said, yeah, okay, nope, this isn't it. Nope,
Okay.
not following this path. And I
I
dropped it.
mean, oh my God. We just have
Right.
to take I don't know how many of you, I don't know if you're exercising, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're driving. I hope your head just exploded because that was amazing. I think that piece of listening when it started to just fizzle right out, I think that is one of the most important things we can do. And I think it's fascinating, Amy, because women are taught not to do that.
Right.
Right? It's like, stop, get logical, right?
That doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got to do what's right. You got to do what makes sense.
What that means,
You know, you got to do what's
yes.
logical, reasonable. You got to do
Yes.
what's reasonable.
Your body says no, so you
Body
say
says
no.
And so I'm like,
and then what
okay.
happens?
So there was a part of me that felt like I was super sad. My head was sad, but then there was a part of me that was buoyed by this idea. Okay, well, don't worry. Trust the process. It's going to lead you somewhere. So sure enough, I'm like, okay. All right. Well, I'm going to feel it out. What does that mean? Pick up the books again. Okay. I still want to read. Okay, cool. So a couple days later, again, Aiden's napping and I'm reading through a particular book by a physicist I really like. And out of nowhere, mid-sentence, it hits me. Hey, you know nothing about this guy. So this is what I mean by following inspiration. I was completely hit with this very inspired thought. Look him up. So I was like, yeah. So even though I'm in the mid-sentence and loving what I'm reading, I'm like, wait, I know nothing. So that's an inspired thought. So what did I do? I committed to following inspired thoughts. So I pick up my laptop, I Google him, go to his website, and I'm like, oh yeah, clearly Cambridge, Massachusetts, sure, blah, 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 blah. Events, interesting. Click on it. I kid you not, Sarah. This is where I squealed. So I look down and I'm scrolling. And what it shows is it's exactly that night, the night that is today. He is speaking at the Unitarian Church down the street from my house in San Francisco.
Shut the front door.
No, I'm
on.
serious. Yes.
Come on. That's amazing. Oh
And
my gosh.
This is the power of synchronicity. And so because I have been now living this for over a decade, that this is the quality of life. When you listen, it almost feels like life is magical, but it's not magical because there's so much more going on than we realize. I looked at this and that was the biggest sign that, Amy, you're onto something. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it, but as I scrolled down the next month, he was speaking at what was called the Science and Non-Duality Conference in San Rafael. So here's what I was learning to listen for. It was this, and my heart just kind of skipped a beat and my chest like opened and I'm like, oh, what's this? And so I click on it and I look at it and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know what this is, but I have to be here. But I'm like, is this meant for me? I don't even know. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a therapist. Am I the right audience? And so here's what's so great. I'm like, okay, well, let me just email the organizer. I found you online. I'm a new mom. I don't know if I'm the right audience. I'm enamored by these things. And he got right back to me. His name's Mauricio. He's the most delightful human angel in embodied form.
Probably. You're like, thank you.
He goes, oh my gosh, I am so tickled and so touched that you thought to reach out. You are exactly the right audience. I'm going to comp your ticket, bring your baby. You need to be here. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm coming, not bringing the baby, but I'm coming. And so what ended up happening, it was just a series of these sorts of events. So I get there and then all of a sudden I start seeing sponsored by the Institute of Transpersonal Psychology. And I'm like, oh, what's this? And so, I'm looking into this and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to study this. So I look into it. It was the biggest hell yes. I can't even begin to tell you. So then I went to my husband and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get my master's in transpersonal psychology. And he looks at me, he goes, what? What are you going to do with that? And I'm like, right. I don't know. I just need to go study it. And he goes, well, are you licensed for anything? And I'm like, nope. I just need to go study it. And he goes, okay. I'm like, just trust me. It's going to work out. I don't know what's going to happen. It's just going to work out. Sure enough, it was the most magnificent, transformative, somewhat painful. Because here you have to remember, UC Berkeley, very rigorous study in math. Now I have to switch gears. Like there was a creative expression course that I had to take. Oh my God, it was so painful. It was like create this mask of your inner yourself and like paint with your toes and see. And I'm like, oh my God, what is this craziness? Like, how is this helping me? But boy, did it open me up to understanding that truth really it comes in all forms, linear, nonlinear. And, in short form, coaching found me. And then here we go.
And then here we are. Yeah, I love the whole just listening. The inspired thought thing, I think, is so critical. And I don't know who's listening who just heard that and said, I didn't follow up with that thought I had earlier. Go do it. Like there's those moments, right, where you're like, yeah. Don't, yeah. Inspirational thoughts. I think that is so critical. That I just jumped on that because how many times has that happened where, and we've all experienced it on some level, where you think about somebody and the phone rings and you're like, do I get it? It's like, that's weird. It's almost that feeling, but I love that you shared that. I think that's such a critical part of success, right? Yes. Is actually allowing yourself to be led at moments and to be humble enough to go, okay, and just start doing it. It's so cool. And I know too, Amy, you do a lot of work with people kind of differentiating between doubt and then self-doubt. And I think that's something, at least in my coaching and in the courses we do, I see that come up for people so often. Like, how do I know the difference between this isn't right for me or I'm not good enough for this? And is that just a limiting belief? Like where do you fall on that? And how do you like to teach if someone's listening right now and they're not sure if they're doubting themselves or if it's the wrong move? What would you say to them?
Such a powerful and important topic. Very big difference between doubt and self-doubt. And my take is that doubt is healthy. Self-doubt is destructive. Here's the difference. Healthy doubt is a very discerning, not judging, but very discerning ability to kind of assess, do I know this? Is there enough here for me to go forth and do what I'm intending to do? Is my understanding full? Is my skill set round enough? Do I have the pieces? Have I crossed the T's? If you were to ask me, hey, could you go perform this heart surgery on somebody? I'd be like, God, no.
Right.
And that wouldn't be self-doubt. That would just be full on doubt. Like, I don't know anything in that process.
Right. That's a healthy doubt. Please don't perform heart surgery on someone.
Exactly.
Right.
But what I don't have about that is self-doubt, meaning could I go do that if I wanted to learn it? So self-doubt, the difference between doubt and self-doubt is, do I have enough knowledge? Is there enough here for me to act? But self-doubt, questions are inherent capability, and do I have the capacity and the capability to go forth? So let me give you actually talk about synchronicity. Just last night, I'm researching a topic right now of which I am ridiculously excited about, that I think I'm super excited about. And so I was pulling up all the articles and all the publications, and I'm doing big searches on how many articles and publications, how many studies have been done on this particular thing. And I'm looking at the difference between one thing and the other. And I'm like getting super fired up and I'm super excited. And I'm reading through all of the experiments that have been done in order to verify a certain hypothesis. And I'm reading through and I'm following enough. And then I start getting this thought like, man, should I have really gone the science route? Maybe I really should have become a researcher, because this is just so lacking in your tool bag. But what I noticed was I stopped myself, because I'm like, Amy, this is very cool. This is doubt, not self-doubt. Because if you were to tell yourself right now, Amy, go take a class on research, go decide that you want to go do your own research study, I have no question in my mind, I could figure that out. Would it take a while? Probably.
Right.
But that's okay. But I didn't, in that moment, there wasn't a part of me that felt discouraged, because I could have gone down that path of, oh, you didn't become a researcher, oh, you really don't have enough credibility to really read through these experiments and then maybe make a claim without being able to go run the test yourself. And, and I thought, that's silly. I didn't study that, but I can follow along. Now, if I really wanted to, sure. But I don't want to do that right now. So I'm going to keep going forth. I'm going to keep reading through these studies. I'm going to do my best. And you know what? And that'll just be part of my argument. I'm not a researcher, but hey, check this out. Look what I found.
But look what I found.
That nuance there, that's the difference between doubt and self-doubt. It's to very objectively look at what's known and what's not known, what's missing, what's there, what needs to be there, versus, is there something wrong with me? Is there something lacking?
Or who do I think I
And
am, right? Which is what we
exactly.
started the conversation with too. That one, gosh, that one started the conversation with too. That one's so mean. Who am I to do this?
Oh, yeah,
Or who do you
totally.
think you are? Like those kinds
Totally.
of attacks. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Well, Amy, we could talk for about 345 hours, I think, but
Yes, we could.
given time constraints as they are, what I would love to know, I know there's probably people listening or watching and they're like, yes, please give me more of these things. I understand you have this really cool text offer for all of the Game
Yeah.
On Girlfriends.
So what I have found, this ability to feel it out is a skill. It's a muscle. And I find that when people get what I'm talking about here, and that the path of least resistance to the most abundance really is one that we feel out, not figure out, it requires that we heighten the sensitivity to our feeling. And that tends to be, it can be an obstacle for folks, because I'm met with, well, what if I don't know what I'm feeling? What if I'm numb to how I feel? I can't tell the difference, Amy. Like, how do I know if I'm figuring it out versus I'm feeling it out? Like, I hear you're talking about like my energies in my head versus my energies in my body. Like, I don't have that. And so this is where I tell people, I'm like, the good news is you were born with this capability. So this could be an area of doubt, not self-doubt. You have this capability. It's just that the muscle might be kind of weak. And so we got to strengthen that muscle so that you can notice the changes. And so that's where this text-based self-awareness practice came from. And so what it is super fun. You go to my website, you can download the guide that steps you through it. You text me, and I essentially text you back with a couple questions like, do you want this? Do you want this? How do you want to go about it? And essentially what happens is you either get texted a couple times a week or once a day at a random time. And in those moments when I text you, essentially the question is, all right, stop right now. What are you feeling in this moment? And you can click on a link that essentially gives you a massive gradient of all the kinds of emotions. I'm feeling apathetic. I'm feeling hesitant. I'm feeling bored. I'm feeling eager. I'm feeling content. And so it's helping you get granular and feeling into, this is contentment. Sure. Right. And so that might be one moment. And the next day it might be anxiety. And so what's happening by interrupting you in your day and making you kind of feel into and label, we're heightening that metacognition that allows you to check in and feel and sense. And after a period of time, you start getting really good at being able to tell when things are shifting within you. So you can definitely tell if you're above the neutral line and you're feeling good, or when you're below the neutral line, but you start getting really granular. Like, I'm really high up here versus I'm really kind of down here. And it's exactly that ability to care and then catch how you're feeling that is paramount, because how we feel, one, is everything, because everything we want's for a feeling anyway. But two, how we feel is an indicator of what we're focusing on. Yeah. And so the bigger story and what I break down in my book is, we have to think of feeling as pretty much as an indicator that, if I'm feeling great, it's because of how I'm focusing in this moment. But if I'm not feeling great, it's because of how I'm focusing. What am I focused on? What stories am I telling myself? And so we have the remote control in our hands to shift focus to affect how we feel. And so living on purpose essentially is remembering, waking up to that, oh yeah, I do have the remote control. Let me use it now, because most of us act like we don't. And so that's what that practice is for.
I love it. Okay. All right. So we're going to have your website link in the show notes or underneath this video. I hope you guys check that out. I think, Amy, what you're talking about is so critical. And my stance is that we have been trained to stop listening, right? Over the course of time, stop feeling, stop listening, just do this thing. And I love earlier, you were like, do the right thing. And I was like, none of us even know what that means anymore. Right. But I don't do that thing.
Right. According to who?
Yeah. Right. But that feels like crap. That's what you're supposed to do. Right. So really supporting people in re-energizing that skill, right? And building that muscle back up and getting back on track. It's so awesome. You guys, I hope you take advantage of that. Amy, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for spending time with us. And if people want to hang out with you online, what are your favorite places to hang out?
Yeah. So I am big on LinkedIn. Okay. And I'm Amy Eliza Wong on LinkedIn. I am not, that's about it. Like I do have an Instagram page. I just don't hang out there. I just don't, doesn't light me up. I mean, you can follow me. I sometimes post when I'm inspired, but really it's It's not where I hang out. But go ahead. Feel free to follow me. Same handle, Amy Eliza Wong.
Awesome.
But LinkedIn is definitely the place. Or, signing up for my newsletter and ways in which to stay in touch. You can stay inspired, in a much more proactive way than social media. So.
I love it. You guys heard that. All right, Amy, thank you again so much for stopping by the Game On Girlfriend podcast. It's been such a joy to have you.
A pleasure. Thank you, Sarah.